right, so tonight we're going to tie the second caddis dry fly in our little series called the Caddis Sessions, and this one is called the Hi-Viz Spent Caddis. So exactly like what it's called, it's easy to see, it's very fisherman friendly. It still has a very realistic look from the bottom side, carries a really low profile, and all the materials, as we'll go through, are very stealthy materials. So this is our most popular caddis pattern out of the different caddis patterns we're going to go over. Definitely the one that we buy and sell the most of here at the fly shop here in Montana. So just go to a quick materials list. This is the NU dry fly hook, the number 406. This is super sharp standard length dry fly hook. 12-aught nano silk. So the nano silk's kind of important on this fly. Since it's come out, the nice thing about this is the front of the pattern we're about to go over there's a lot of materials at the front of the head, and you don't want to build up too much material so that you can still tie off a clean eye and still get your tippet through. The 12-aught allows you to wrench down the deer hair without breaking it, but also not build up the head too much to where you over profile the front of the fly. So I would recommend 12-aught nano silk or something of that diameter that doesn't break easily. For the body, we're going to use Wonder Wrap or Sexy Floss or Spanflex. It's kind of all the same stuff. Tonight I used olive, but I often use tan, amber, or black. Just depends on the size and color of the caddis you're trying to imitate. For the wing, for the underwing, we're going to use just regular mallard CDC feather. I just like the regular feathers. The tufts, I think, look way too dense on this fly, so just use regular CDC mallard feather. The overwing, we're going to use deer hair. I think it's a little bit darker than elk hair generally, and we want this to look stealthy. So we're using deer hair for the wing. For the post, we're using carded antron or McFlylon in a burnt orange color. You can for sure use a higher Viz color if you have a tough time seeing your fly, then just go with a brighter color. We like the burnt orange. It adds the antron or McFlylon adds some floatability to the fly, and this is bright enough for most people to see, get the visibility that we need out of the fly. And then for the front of the fly, we're just using spiky squirrel dubbing. We're going to throw it in a dubbing loop. We want the guard hairs in the squirrel dubbing to stand out like antennas and legs off the front of the fly, so that will finish off the fly, and that's all the material. So it's pretty simple fly, really. Once you see the tutorial, the hardest part is just getting the proportions right, and we'll go over that right now in the tutorial. So let's get started. All right, we are going to tie the Hi-Viz Spent Caddis. So this is a long-time favorite, and probably the most popular out of all the caddis patterns we're going to tie in this little caddis session series. We're tying this on a NU number 16 hook, starting with brown 12-aught nano silk. Again, like the colors and the thread and everything, whatever, you can tie it to suit whatever color and size caddis that you have going on at your local river. We tie this, we get all kind, where I'm mostly fishing on the Missouri, at least a lot, and we have all kinds of colors of caddis and sizes of them, from really, really, really small black ones to big tan ones. So first material we're putting on here is the Wonder Wrap. So pull it kind of tight at the back so you don't create a huge body, and then try to keep the body pretty even when you tie it on. And the cool thing about the Wonder Wrap, as you're profiling your body, you can kind of pull it tight in the beginning and then release some tension as you wrap forward, just to make the body sort of get bigger as you go forward. So like right around here, I start to just not pull down so hard, and it profiles the body really nicely. Once you get to about here, doesn't really matter anymore because it's mostly going to be hidden by materials. So you can pull tight there to not create any excess materials up front, or excess bulk, I should say. Okay, so that's one wrap. I used all of there, but it honestly does not really matter. I'm gonna use some Antron next. So this is just some like McFlylon post material. This is like a carded, it's not actually McFlylon, but same stuff. And they comes in kind of a predetermined hand. I usually cut that in half, or split that in half. So this is half of sort of your normal amount to create this post. And we want to tie this in, but we don't want to go too far back because the whole point of this fly is that we're creating a spent caddis. That's too far back. So right around there, because when we pull this forward, we want it to split the wings. So if this tie-in point is too far back, when you pull it forward, you just won't be splitting anything. So then you don't create the dramatic spent look that we're trying to achieve here. So on this fly, we're going to use two CDC feathers. We're just going to use the whole feathers, no tufts or anything, because if you try to use the tufts, it just gets way too much CDC, too thick. So just tie one in on either side of your kind of Antron post. And we want these fibers to pretty much, the longest ones to touch not much past we don't want to go past the bend of the hook, because we're going to split these out in spent style. So as they go straight out, you create a bigger and bigger profile the wider your spent look gets. So we don't want too big of a profile. This is only a size 16 caddis. So the further back those fibers get, the wider and bigger your profile of your caddis gets. So we have those tied in, one on either side. Make a couple wraps onto the hook to make sure it's secured onto the actual hook, not just onto the feather. Okay, and then we're going to use some deer hair here for this. This fly sits low to the water column. We want it to profile really nice so when the trout's looking up, they see the profile of a spent, dead-looking caddis. So we don't want to scare them with bright elk hair. So that's why we're using deer hair. It's naturally just darker. And we just want the profile. You use about the same amount of deer hair that you would use on like an elk hair caddis or something, but at least this deer hair is a little bit thinner, so it doesn't have so much bulk. All right, so we stacked those in our hair stacker, got the tips fairly straight, and we're going to tie that into the same length as we have the CDC, because again, we're splaying this out, and we're splitting it out to get a spent look. So we want the profile to stay somewhat to the size of the hook that we have, which is in this case a 16. All right, so we tied that off. We're going to tie these tips down, so we don't want those going all over the place. Okay, so then we got this, we left this piece long so that we could pull it forward and really split these apart. So try to get it should be pretty close in the middle, just pulling it forward. So pull it forward. We're going to wrap that in pretty much behind the eye of the hook, the eye of the hook here. And then we're just gonna pull the whole thing backwards. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna split those elk hair and CDC fibers, and it's also going to give you your Hi-Viz post for this fly. So then we can cut the post to about the same length as the the deer hair. What's nice about that is then, you know, your post is really invisible. A lot of flies, the post is just, I think, obnoxiously large. And then we are going to make a small dubbing loop here for the, we're going to put spiky squirrel on the front to cover these ends and to create sort of a leggy look on the front of the caddis. All right, and you can just kind of pick those out a little bit just to get all the spiky guard hairs to stick out. We want those sticking out. And then we're just gonna do about 2.5, maybe 3 wraps, depending on, you wanna just cover all the stuff, all your butts from your elk hair and the Hi-Viz material. Which is usually 2.5-ish wraps. You can pull it all back pretty hard. Make sure you have a clean head. And then you can cut off your excess. Okay, and that, if you have any little stray ends, you can hit it, but pull them off or pick them off or whatever. But that is the Hi-Viz Spent Caddis, and you can see that by keeping that CDC short and the elk hair or the deer hair short enough, we didn't over profile the fly. It still looks like a size 16 caddis, just spent. And that's it. Thanks for watching.